Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, in Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and I'm very happy and honored. I have Brent Cook here, the famous letter writer from Exploration Insights, and I already attended his speech yesterday at the Metals Investor Forum, and I was really impressed because, as usual, fantastic information what he has presented, and we want to talk now a little bit about this. Brent, thank you very much for taking the time.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure.
I said it already yesterday, your presentation. I really liked it because it was straight to the point and sensational information. A lot even I didn't knew, and I'm pretty long in the business, but it's always perfect to have the opportunity to talk to somebody like you are. First of all, I think this crisis, it's one of the longest ones we have so far, and I think it's one of the hardest and deepest ones. So that means to me, we lost a lot of money in the markets, not only stock-wise or market cap-wise, but also exploration-wise. I think their exploration is shrinking. What is the situation now if you look at supply and demand?
I don't deal a lot with supply and demand of the metal per se on a monthly, yearly basis, but what's really happening, and I think this is important for your listeners and viewers, is that we are mining the equivalent of one Bingham copper mine a year. That's 18 million tons of copper every year. Yeah. So we're depleting, and Bingham's one of the biggest copper deposits in North America. So we're depleting one of those a year, and we are not finding one of those a year. So there's a deficit building up. Likewise with gold, we're mining the equivalent of one Carlin trend a year, 90 million ounces. Wow. And on average, we're finding about 40 million ounces a year. So there's a 50 million ounce gap that we're not replacing. Yeah. And now, over the past 4 or 5 years, exploration expenditure down, discoveries are way down, and so it's going to be fun when that gap actually starts to impact companies that are looking to produce, replace what they're mining. And there's going to be very few properties out there that they can own. We want to own those, right? Those are the ones we want to own.
I understand that fully.
Yes.
But when do you think this is kicking into the price? I mean, copper is at $2. To me, ridiculous, especially with the trend of, let's say, electrification of the mobilization. And there must be a certain touch point or trigger point when this turns, right?
Yeah, I think in terms of base metals, we've got a bit more pain to suffer through. We've got potentially a global recession on our heel, in front of us this year. So I think that's an issue. But in terms of the precious metals, I like the precious metals right now. I've been pretty negative for 4 or 5 years, but just this fall I started buying new companies, buying into these companies a bit larger size than I normally buy, because there's not much exploration. And in fact, I hired another geologist analyst, Joe Mazumbar. So there's 2 of us now at Exploration Insights looking at these things. So I think this is the year to be very selectively buying quality, low margin deposits for the future, because I think it's going to do well. This is the year. This is the year to start doing it.
Yeah, you would say that only from the exploration view, but also already in the development or production?
I own 3 production companies, 2 development.
Can you name them? Or you want to name them?
I'll give you the production ones. They're big, big. They trade well. Like Richmont, Lakeshore, and Claude are the 3 production companies that we own.
Great companies, yeah.
Yeah, great companies, profitable, safe jurisdictions. I want to be safe, but I think those are going to do well. And I think those are actually, at least 2 of them are acquisition targets as well.
Yeah, fantastic. When it comes to valuation, and let's say when it comes to choose companies you want to have in the portfolio, what are the important points for you? What are the reasons where you say, okay, I have to pay attention to this, and this, and if this and this is fulfilled, I might invest? What is important for you? What are you looking?
Bottom line, whether it's a production company or the earliest stage exploration, I want to own metal deposits whose production costs are in the lowest quartile or third of the industry. So I want high margin deposits. So if I walk onto a prospect and all they've got is a bunch of rock samples and they look good, if I look at that rock, I need to right then determine roughly where are we, what's the infrastructure, what's the capex going to be to build this thing. So what size and grade of deposit do we need to have here to make this worthwhile? And then it comes down to, okay, who's in charge? How much money they got? If these guys know what they're doing, are they honest? What are the trigger points go, no-go.
Jurisdiction maybe also?
Jurisdiction, of course. And yeah, what are the trigger points? What do we need to see going forward to keep me convinced that this is a good property to be in? And how are these guys going to finance?
Yeah.
Because too many of these guys, they get a prospect that even if they're successful, it really doesn't matter to the share price because it's marginal or it's small. I don't want marginal or small.
Yeah.
There's too much of that already.
That's right. So maybe can you tell us some picks from the exploration side where you would say they are highly valuable or interesting?
Interesting. Okay, I like the prospect generator model right now.
Yeah.
I always have. And so I try and keep, probably a third of my portfolio in the production development stories, a third in the prospect generators, and a third I keep on the side for potential discoveries.
Okay.
That's what I really like. A couple of guys I own are Mirasol Resources, Evrim Resources, and Riverside Resources. Those three, and Lara actually. I mean, there's no hurry to buy them. I don't see any catalyst per se.
Yeah.
But they're smart. They can survive for many years, and if you're going to find something, it takes time.
Yeah.
So you need to have that time frame.
Absolutely. I was yesterday also very impressed from your presentation when you showed the Rubicon case. Yeah, no, because this is something I think we really have to teach people about this with the nugget effects and what could happen when you don't do, let's say, I wouldn't say proper, but when you do things maybe different than you should do. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit how you find it or how you saw it?
Yeah, it's tough. It is really tough. You need to know what you're doing. I wish I could say, anybody can do it, but you can't.
It's not like a straight plan, that's for sure.
No,
everything is different.
I looked at Rubicon in 2011 and said no way, and then we went through it again this year. In fact, if your viewers want, I'd be happy to send this report that we did in my newsletter. Just send me an email at Exploration
I would love
Insights.
to. Great.
But really, I went through in detail where the drill intersections were on the drill holes, and what the resource estimator had done with those intersections, and they'd blown them out. They pushed these very high-grade nuggety intersections into places where there wasn't any, and they were connecting the mineralization where it didn't connect. And you really, for a vein deposit, you need to be able to connect the dots so that when you're mining, you know where you're mining. If it's there and there and there and there, you've got a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your costs go way up, and that was the problem. Is that I think. I go through it in the newsletter. What the problem was, but that was it. Is that the dots did not connect. And the estimators connected them.
Okay, and then the whole thing failed, of course.
Then it fell apart.
Yeah, because you're never profitable.
Yeah.
You never make money. Great. Thank you very much, Brent. It was always a pleasure, as usual. And keep it going, and please move on with this good information you have. And I look forward to your next speech, definitely.
Excellent.
I will attend.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Brent Cook from Exploration Insights. And you heard it. It's really not easy to have a plan in mining like straightforward. You have to evaluate everything and every single project by itself. But there are some points which are really necessary, and he pointed it out, not only jurisdiction, but you really have to look at the resources, where you are going, what it is like in the veins, is it nuggety or not, and so on. And so I can name it many of those things, but maybe you have a look at his newsletter also, because he's doing, I think it's a monthly one, right?
It comes out weekly.
Weekly newsletter, even much better. And check out Exploration Insights. I think it makes really sense because Brent is doing a great job. And that's it, folks, from Vancouver. Thanks and bye-bye.